So hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you all for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about the school profile, which is an important component of a student's college application. So want to make sure that I adhere to the 30 minutes that I promised you. So let's get started. Oops, I actually already switched to the next slide. My name is Antonia Estrada, and I'm the program coordinator at Uprooted Academy. Some of you might know me from previous webinars if you've attended with us. I'd like to say a few words about who we are before we get started, as I always like to do for those of you who might not be too familiar with Uprooted Academy. So at Uprooted Academy, we want students to feel courageous, confident, and competitive when they apply to college. That's why we are ruthless in our pursuit to alleviate the anxiety and confusion around the college selection and application process. And that's why we're here today. After today's presentation, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a few minutes to fill out a quick survey. I promise it's really, really brief. Your opinions and feedback are important to us to help us improve future workshops. Also, this is the last counselor webinar of the academic year. So if you have any suggestions on topics that you'd like to see covered, that you'd like us to cover in next year's programming, please write that down in the survey. And then we can get a head start on programming for next year. And finally, we'll wrap up the webinar with a Q&A session. So please enter any questions you might have in the Q&A. And I can get to them at the end. Also, but if there's anything that pops up and can't wait to the end, please feel free to put that as well. I've timed what the information I'm going to be giving you is about 20 minutes long. So we certainly have time to answer any questions during the presentation as well. So let's start off by looking briefly at the two key documents that high schools provide when students are applying to college. So one is the school report, which you see here on the left, and the other is the school profile. So the school report is a form you're probably quite familiar with, is part of the Common App. It's typically completed by counselors. It includes the student's transcript and a standard set of questions on the school's academic environment and how the student compares with their peers. And actually what you're seeing here is the first page of the 3-page school report. It's similar to a school profile, but with one key difference, which is that the school report format is determined by another entity, not the school. In this case, the Common App. It's called the Common App School Report. And it asks a series of standard questions, which you can see here. Again, the first page of the 3-page school report. The school profile, as you see on the right, this is an example of a school called Holderness, their school profile, which is also 3 pages long. You're seeing the first page here. The school profile is produced by the school. It outlines what you want colleges to know about your school environment. So think of it sort of like a dating profile. This is where your school gets to tell its own story in the way you want to tell it. Typically, it's 1 to 2 pages long in PDF format. Sometimes it's also 3 pages long, depending on how much information you want to convey to the colleges. So here we're looking at a portion of the Common App School Report that coincidentally is titled School Profile, not to be confused with the school profile we saw on the previous slide. As I said before, the school report form is standardized. It comes from the Common App. That means it has certain limitations. So, for example, when it's asking you how many courses does your school offer, you can see here that you have slots for AP. Oh, sorry about that. My mouse is very sensitive today. For AP, IB, honors, and Cambridge. But what if your school offers other programs like AVID or magnet programs or dual enrollment, right? So those options aren't listed. So the school report, because it's standardized, might not be inclusive of all the curriculum options that are actually offered by a high school. This can also lead to issues with consistency. So if different counselors from the same school, and a big school might have several counselors, if different counselors from the same school fill this out and each includes different information, it's going to be confusing for an admissions officer who's reviewing multiple applications from the same school, right? They could get mixed signals about what it is that the school actually offers if they see different information on different school reports. And now more than ever, admissions officers are focusing more on the courses a student chooses to take. Academics, we all know, has always been the most important part of a student's college application, but especially now as colleges go test optional and they don't have that extra data point of standardized test scores. So admissions officers want to understand who the student is within the specific context of what their school offers. I'm going to be mentioning context a lot, probably 100 times today. They always view a student's application within the context of that student's high school. And as we've just seen, the Common App School Report can sometimes fall short because it might not cover everything that a school offers, like special programs or course offerings. So this is where the school profile becomes key. It gives schools a chance to fill in those blanks and provide that extra layer of detail about the school, that context, I'm mentioning context again, that can really support their students' applications. So I'm just going to recap briefly the importance of the school profile and how it can be a useful tool for college admissions officers. You see here another example of a school profile that's very different from the one we saw earlier. Just to give you an example, and I'll be showing you little excerpts from different school profiles in the next few minutes. But essentially, the school profile helps admissions counselors interpret the transcript for classes that are offered, rigor of the curriculum, and grading policies. So it provides context for the school environment and the opportunities available to students and helps admissions officers evaluate the students' accomplishments within that context. So when it comes to your school profile, think about what you want to spotlight or highlight about your school, what's special about your school that you want to convey to colleges. For schools, especially those that might be new, the school profile is important for introducing themselves to colleges. Again, think of it as a dating profile, sort of. It also matters when students apply to colleges that might not know their school. And also with the high turnover among admissions staff, you might have a brand new admissions counselor assigned to your region who doesn't know your school at all and will rely heavily on your school profile to give them information about your school. So I'm going to talk in the next 20 minutes or so about 4 major components of the school profile. These are not the only components, but 4 of the main components that I'm going to focus on. 1 is academic curriculum, 2, the grading system, 3, post-secondary outcomes, and 4, school community. So we're going to look briefly at those right now. We're going to start off by looking at the first component, which is academic curriculum. This is the heart of your school profile, which is the comprehensive course listing and curriculum overview. So colleges, again, use the school profile to help them understand what they're looking at on the transcript and determine the rigor of a student's curriculum. So it's important to keep this section up to date and reflective of what your school is actually offering. Schools often update or rename courses, so make sure that the information in your school profile matches what appears on your transcripts. You can imagine it can be frustrating for college admissions officers to review the transcript and find that the courses listed on the transcript don't match the information provided in the school profile. So just make sure your transcript, your school profile, and your school report are all consistent and using similar language. Being clear about the meaning of course titles, such as, honors or advanced placement, as you see here, is also really important. So the layout here is a good example. It clearly defines each course, no designation, college prep, honors, advanced placement. And you can think of it sort of as a legend for the transcript, sort of like, a legend for a map. Colleges evaluate students, they evaluate whether students have challenged themselves in their coursework, right? They want to know if the student has taken the most challenging coursework available to them. So let them know which of your courses are the most rigorous so they can determine whether a student has taken the most rigorous courses, again, available to them at their school. As you can see here, school offerings can take up a lot of space depending on the number of courses you offer. So if you are tight on space, again, it's a 1 to 2 page, maybe 3-page document. You can include a hyperlink to a course bulletin or curriculum guide that's available on your website to provide that additional information so that you don't wind up filling up, 3 pages of your course offerings. Make sure, I guess what also just to kind of highlight what's important, make sure that your school accurately represents the opportunities available to your students, so that there's no room for admissions officers to guess or assume what your school doesn't or doesn't offer. So if your school doesn't offer calculus, for example, you don't want your students to be unfairly penalized for not taking a course that wasn't even available to them, right? So if an admissions officer sees on a student's transcript, well, they didn't take, calculus, well, they didn't because it's not available at the school, and they would see that in the school profile. So we're just going to look at a few excerpts from different school profiles, as we saw in the previous slide. So this is excerpts from the school profile of Castilleja, which is a school in Palo Alto, California. This is just to give you an example. If your school has any specific programs or specific curriculum, you definitely want to highlight that on the school profile. For this particular course, they shifted from advanced placement courses to their own advanced topic courses that they mention here. And that's something that's important for admissions officers to know. They see on the transcript advanced topic, they might not know what it is unless it's explained on the school profile. So they explain it here, and they explain that they don't offer AP courses, but that they have these advanced topics which are just as rigorous as AP courses. And since they don't offer AP courses at school, but they do offer certain AP exams, which they mention here, and they outline which AP exams are offered. Again, if a student hasn't taken an AP exam, it could be because the school doesn't offer it. When it comes to AP exams, it's also important courses and exams for your school to provide that information as well as to whether those are available, and if so, which ones are available for your students to take. So it's all about providing clarity. So providing a clear guide about what's taught at your school, what academic opportunities or non-academic are available for your students, which might not be immediately obvious from reading a transcript. So just touching on a few more aspects of the academic curriculum. This school, again, Castilleja, you can see here it is included information about course loads. It says we strongly recommend that students limit themselves to no more than 4 AT courses and no more than 5 core academic courses per semester. So that's a section they've added. I'm sorry about that. Again, I don't know, my mouse is very sensitive. That's a section they've added so colleges can see how they advise their students, how they help them with course selection, and what's important to their school's culture. So you might want to consider adding something similar if that's a part of your school's philosophy, or something else that's a part of your school's philosophy that's important to the school. Might want to add it to your profile. Additionally, you can see here that they also include information on class rank and grading system, including how grades are weighted. Again, offering further context to admissions officers who are reviewing applications. Again, it's all about context. You'll note at the bottom here that they mention students may enroll in a limited number of courses through one schoolhouse, which is like an online school that is part of Khan Academy. So if your school has partnerships with virtual schools or opportunities for students to enroll in online courses or anything similar, you may want to include that information since it might not appear on the transcript if you're just reading the transcript alone. Again, it's important for colleges to understand the full range of opportunities available to your students, including dual enrollment options and other unique curriculum offerings, which we saw before is one of the limitations of the school report because it's standardized. Okay, so that was academic curriculum. Now we're going to look at the second component that we're going to look at today, which is the grading system. So this slide provides a clear look at a school's grading scale and policy, which is a key piece of information for college admissions officers to evaluate a transcript. So if your grading scale differs from the traditional 90 to 100 for an A, it's important to include this information so that, again, admissions officers know how to evaluate a student's transcript. At the bottom, they also include information on class rank, which I think is also asked on the school report, but they include it here as well on their school profile. They also include a GPA distribution chart, which is a good practice as well. As you can see here, the grade distribution chart shows the percentage of students at different GPA brackets. And this can show the degree of grade inflation or deflation. Research shows that private high schools are more likely to have grade inflation than Title I public schools that serve predominantly first-generation low-income students. So this kind of grade distribution chart can do a great job of underscoring a school's grading policy and help colleges understand how individual students are performing in context. So I also have seen this not just in a bar chart like this, but I've also seen it just kind of written in percentages. So it really depends how you want to present that information. So the third component that we're going to look at is post-secondary outcomes. And you can see here an excerpt from another school profile. Here they highlight, and most school profiles will do this, the percentage of students going to college overall, and then four-year colleges, two-year colleges, and also other options like straight to the workforce or military. They also include here in this school profile, the size of the senior class. And they also include information on where students attend college. So in this particular example, it's the members of the latest class, the class of 2023. You can also consider, class of 2023 and where they were admitted. So some school profiles include the latest year and also where students were admitted. Some include where students actually attended or enrolled. Some include universities from the past 5 years. So it just really depends on what you want to highlight in your school profile. You might also want to consider including information about college counseling. So you see here, this school profile, this school has actually included information on counselor caseload. They say that the average counselor caseload is 400 students per counselor, which is a lot. So, that also gives college admissions officers some context around the access that students have to college counseling. That the counselors have to serve a lot of students. You might want to include information about policies around writing counselor recommendations, whatever you feel is important. In this school profile, you noticed this is, you don't see the whole profile here, of course, but they don't include, this school does not include all the names of the universities that students are attending. They just include percentages of students attending college overall and 4 and 2 years. So, you can do that as well. They've included information on the counseling office staff. I don't know whether, that should be included considering the limited real estate you have. But then, school profiles can be used for other reasons as well, not just for college applications. They can be used as marketing tools to attract students to your school. So again, maybe the school felt the need to include that versus other information. So a school really needs to highlight whatever they think is important for admissions officers to understand about their school. So now we're going to look at the fourth component that we're going to look at today, which is school community or demographics. So you can see here a couple of examples of how 2 different schools have opted to do this. So in this example here to the left, they have information percentages on by race and ethnicity, and also by gender. They've also included some statistics on graduation rate and average attendance, which in this case, because they're so high, they've wanted to include because that highlights that students are very committed to their education at this particular school. And then they have here information on students, the percentage of students who are the first in their families to attend college. So instead of including it here as another row, they've added a little graphic because it's something that they wanted to highlight. You see here the example on the right, which is from the largest charter school in California, that they've chosen to highlight their demographics in a pie chart, which is also very effective. I've seen it in bar charts as well. And then they've also highlighted other information about their students, that they felt important, like the number of English language learners, the number of students with disabilities through IEPs, and also they've highlighted also the number of students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, which I think is the same as students receiving free or reduced price lunch. I guess they've chosen to use that wording. So again, these are things that they felt were important to include about their school because of the large percentages of students who are in these categories. You'll see here that actually the number of students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged are half of the total number of students. So actually, I would have put this as a percentage. I would have put 50%. You can do the math pretty quickly. I just think it stands out better if you put 50%, but they've chosen to highlight the absolute number, maybe to reflect the total number, the large number of students that they have in their school. So these are a couple of ways that you could do this. Just reviewing, giving a little bit, I guess, context about about demographics. In a study from 2017, 311 admissions officers from competitive colleges reviewed fictional applications from students with different socioeconomic backgrounds and with different levels of information about the high schools. When college admission, and the conclusion was, when college admissions officers have more information about the high schools attended by low-income applicants, frequently showing the limited opportunities for taking advanced courses, those applicants are more likely to be admitted. So I wanted to share this study and the conclusion with you as a reason to highlight those socioeconomic statistics that we saw earlier. If your high school served low-income students or first-generation students, and also the importance of providing information on the opportunities for taking advanced courses, so that students aren't unfairly judged if they don't have the opportunity. If an admissions officer doesn't see that on the transcript, they will understand it's because they didn't have the opportunity to do it in their high school. And we saw that that's one of the limitations of the school report, the Common App school report, because it's standardized and you don't have the opportunity to necessarily present that information on the school report. So one last thing about, again, providing those socioeconomic demographics, they're especially important to include after the Supreme Court ruling from last June, the ban on race-conscious admissions. You all know that was from last summer. And this was from June, I believe, and the Biden administration provided follow-up guidance in August. So, and that guidance stated, I know it's very wordy, I apologize for that. I don't know how clearly you can see it, so I'll read it aloud quickly. The guidance provided was that in seeking a diverse student applicant pool, institutions may direct outreach and recruitment efforts towards schools and school districts that serve predominantly students of color and students of limited financial means. Institutions may also target school districts or high schools that are underrepresented in the institution's applicant pool by focusing on geographic location or other characteristics. For example, low-performing schools or schools with high dropout rates, large percentages of students receiving free or reduced price lunch, or historically low numbers of graduates being admitted to the institution. So this is why it's important to consider including information that we saw in the previous slide about student socioeconomic status, ethnicity, percentage of students in a free and reduced lunch or other low-income program, percent who are first generation to college, languages spoken or spoken at home, because these are characteristics that colleges and universities can take into account during the admissions process, since there's a ban now on race-conscious admissions. So just wanted to briefly mention that because of its importance. So hopefully I haven't spoken too quickly. I'm going to wrap up now with just a few more slides. This one is really kind of recapping all the information that I presented into 7 key tips. The first one, detail academic policies, clearly state restrictions such as course limits, frequency, and prerequisites. Especially for the most advanced courses like APs, IBs, which students can take these courses? Are they limited to juniors and seniors? Do they require instructor approval? Is there a limit to how many advanced courses a student can take, either per year or overall, right? So if they can only take 2 advanced courses per semester, let's say, and admissions officers might not know that and say, hey, why is the student only taking 2 advanced courses? Well, that's because that's the rule at the school, that's the policy at the school. So again, really providing that context around what the admissions officer is going to see on the transcript. Number 2, providing further resources such as a link to your school's course bulletin for in-depth information about the curriculum. If you can't fit it all on a page, or you don't want to take up too much of the real estate, providing that link to the school curriculum on your website. 3, using headings, bold text, and bullet points to emphasize key information, and incorporating relevant graphics where it makes sense without going overboard on the charts. And also maybe limiting the number of fonts, maybe to 1 to 2, but just making it really easy to read for a school counselor who has to read thousands of these. 4, which is important, keep it current, update regularly, highlight any changes in curriculum, grading policies, class availability, other school policies, resource availability, and general challenges your students faced. 5, keep it clear and concise, limit to 1 double-sided page, if possible, preferably 8.5 by 11. Remember that schools that you're going to be downloading this, and schools are going to looking at it online, so make sure that it's easy to download and scanned easily. You might want to test that out and see, do it yourself and see that it's actually readable online. 6, highlight any unique features, any data or facts that help differentiate your school and programs from other schools. And 7, complement the school report. So remember, the schools are going to, colleges are going to be seeing the school report, such as the Common App school report, and the school profile. So make sure that those two work together, that the school profile provides any additional context and fills in any gaps that are not covered by the school report. Basically, whatever you need to really give admissions counselors all the context, again, that word, that is going to be able to help them understand what students have available to them at their schools. And one other tip that's not mentioned here, if an admissions rep is coming to your school for a college fair, feel free to ask them, hey, would you look over my profile? What do you think? Where can we improve it if possible? So, use that opportunity to take advantage of their knowledge. And finally, to wrap up, just some additional resources, because of the limited time we have available, some additional resources that I'm going to be sharing with you in a follow-up email. So you're going to be getting the email tomorrow, in case you want, that will help you create a school profile if you don't have one, or update it. So again, I'm going to be giving these to you in a follow-up email tomorrow. I'm just going to briefly mention what they are so that you know what to expect. So the first one is the NACAC has a guide to best practices for developing a school profile, which can be a great place to start your draft. They also, the second resource is they also have examples on the website of more than 1,200 member school profiles. So you can look at them to get some good ideas to use for your own document. No need to reinvent the wheel. And you don't need to be a NACAC member to access either of these resources. Just so you know, there are a lot of broken links and outdated school profiles in the school profile information, but there are a lot of school profiles on there. So just, don't get discouraged if you click on a few broken links. Of course, you can always Google, if you're interested in a school, you can always Google the school name and profile, or go to the website, see if they have it put there. Or, you can also trade profile if you want to get an idea of other profiles, trade profiles with another counselor to look at how their school has presented their information. Then the third resource here, it's a link to a 2-part series about school profiles by the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Then I've included a template here, kind of a basic template if you want to take a look at it. Then information on school profiles by the College Board and Contigo Ed, in case you want to look at those. Some of it is the same information I presented, but if you want to dig a little deeper. And finally, the last one is a blog post by the College Essay Guy on how to uplevel your school profile post the SCOTUS ruling on race-conscious admission that includes more information than I was able to cover here today on that. And finally, that's it. So hopefully this has given you the information that you needed on the school profile. We encourage you to stay engaged with us, read our blogs for tips and tricks, follow us on social media, come to our free events such as this one. And just speaking about free events, I wanted to mention the 2 upcoming events that we have this academic year. One is next Thursday, actually. It's for students and families, and of course, counselors are invited to attend, on managing the transition from high school to college with confidence and mental wellness, led by an expert facilitator. This workshop will be led by an expert facilitator. And then finally, on June 13th, we have a workshop on the personal statement for rising seniors. Summer is a great time to get a head start on the personal statement. So we hope that current juniors will come to the workshop and get tips on starting that personal statement, which we know can be a little daunting. But of course, counselors are welcome to attend as well. And that's it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Please fill out the survey. Again, really want to hear from you as to what you're looking for us to cover, and also give us feedback on this session. And that's it. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Okay, well, that's it from me. It's 3:30 Eastern time, so I did finish just in time. But please, I'm happy to stay as long as you need if you have any questions. Okay, well, I think you might, as you exit the webinar, I think you'll see the link to that survey. If not, I'll be including it in the follow-up email tomorrow. Really want to hear from you. Please let us know what it is that you want us to cover next year's programming. You're welcome. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.